minutes. They don't seem to notice us at all. Couldn't you cough? But I haven't got a cough. They're looking at us! What effrontery! They're approaching! That's very forward of them. Let us preserve our dignified silence. Certainly, it's the only thing to do now. This dignified silence seems to be producing a most unpleasant effect. A most distasteful one. We will not be the first to speak. Certainly not. Mr. Worthing! I have a very particular question to ask you. Much depends upon your reply. Gwendolen, your common sense is invaluable. Mr. Moncrieff, kindly answer me the following question. Why did you pretend to be my guardian's brother?
In order that I may have the opportunity of meeting you.
That certainly seems a satisfactory explanation, does it not? Yes, dear, if you can believe him. I don't. But that does not affect the wonderful beauty of his answer. True, in matters of grave importance, style, not sincerity, is the vital. Mr. Worthing! What explanation can you offer to me for pretending to have a brother? Was it in order that you might have the opportunity of coming up to town to see me as often as possible?
Can you doubt it, Miss Fairfax?
I have the gravest doubts of the subject, but I intend to crush them. This is not made on German skepticism. The answers seem to be quite satisfactory, especially Mr. Worthing's. That to me seems to have the stamp of truth upon it. I am more than content with what Mr. Moncrieff said. His voice alone inspires one with absolute credulity. Then you think we should forgive him? Yes. I mean, no. True, I had forgotten. There are principles at stake that one cannot surrender. Which of us should tell them? The task is not a pleasant one. Could we not both speak at the same time? An excellent idea! I nearly always speak at the same time as others. Will you take the time from me? Certainly. Your Christian names are still an insuperable barrier.
on a luggage train. Her unhappy father, I am glad to say, is under the impression that she's attending a more than usually lengthy lecture on the influence of a permanent income on thought. I do not propose to undeceive him. In fact, I have never undeceived him on any question. I consider it wrong. However, you will clearly understand that all communication between my daughter and yourself must cease immediately from this moment. On that point, as indeed on all points, I am firm.
But I'm engaged to be married to Gwendolen, Lady Bracknell.
You are nothing of the kind, sir. And now as regards Algernon. Algernon.
Yes, Aunt Augusta.
May I ask if it is in this house that your invalid friend, Mr. Bunbury, resides?
Oh, no. Bunbury doesn't live here. Bunbury's somewhere else at present. In fact, Bunbury's dead.
Dead? When did he die? That his death must have been extremely sudden.
Oh, I killed Bunbury this afternoon. I mean, poor Bunbury died this afternoon.
What did he die of?
Bunbury? He was quite exploded.
Exploded. Was he the victim of some revolutionary outrage? I was not under the impression that Mr. Bunbury was in favor of social legislation. If so, he is rightly punished for his morbidity.
My dear Aunt Augusta, I mean, he was found out. The doctors found out that he could not live. That's what I mean. So Bunbury died.
He seems to have had great confidence in the opinions of his physicians. I'm glad that Mr. Bunbury made up his mind at the last as to some definite course of action and acted under proper medical advice. And now that we have got rid of this Mr. Bunbury, Mr. Worthing, may I ask who is this young person whose hand my nephew Algernon is now holding in what seems to me a peculiarly unnecessary manner?
That lady is Miss Cecily Cardew, my ward.
I'm engaged in marrying to Cecily, Aunt Augusta.
I beg your pardon.
Mr. Moncrieff and I are engaged to be married.
I do not know if there's anything peculiarly exciting in the air in this particular part of Hertfordshire, but the number of engagements that go on seem to me considerably above the proper average that statistics have laid down for our guidance. I believe some preliminary inquiry on my part would not be out of place. Mr. Worthing, is Miss Cardew at all associated with any of the larger railway stations in London? I ask you only for information. Until yesterday, I had no idea that there were any families or persons whose origin was a terminus.
Miss Cardew is the granddaughter of Mr. Thomas Cardew of 149 Belgrave Square, Southwest, Gervais Park, Dorking, Surrey, and Sporting, Fifeshire, NB.
That is not unsatisfactory. 3 addresses always inspire confidence, even in tradesmen. But what proof have I of their authenticity?
I have carefully preserved the court cards of the period. They are open to your investigation, Lady Bracknell.
I have known strange errors in that publication.
Miss Cardew's family solicitors are Messrs. Markby, and Markby.
Markby and Markby. A firm of the highest position in their profession. I am even told that one of the Mr. Markbys is occasionally to be seen at evening dinner parties. And thus far I am satisfied.
How extremely kind of you, Lady Bracknell. I also have in my possession, you will be pleased to hear, certificates of Miss Cardew's birth, baptism, whooping cough, registration, confirmation, vaccination, and the measles, both the German and English varieties.
A life crowded with incident, I see. Perhaps a bit too exciting for a young girl. I myself am not in favor of premature experiences. Come, Gwendolen, the time has arrived. I must ask, Mr. Worthing, as a matter of form, does Miss Cardew have any small fortune?
Oh, about £130,000. That is all, Lady Bracknell. Good day, so pleased to have seen you.
A moment, Mr. Worthing. £130,000, and in the funds. Miss Cardew seems to me a very attractive young girl now that I look at her. A few girls of the present day have any of the truly redeeming qualities, any of the qualities that last and improve with time. We live, I regret to say, in an age of surfaces. Come here, dear. Pretty, child. Your dress is sadly simple, and your hair seems almost as nature might have left it. But that could easily be altered. A thoroughly experienced French maid produces a very marvelous result in a rather short period of time. I remember recommending one to a young lady dancing, and after 3 months, her own husband hardly knew her.
And after 6 months, nobody knew her.
Kindly turn around, dear child. And no, the side view is what I want. Just as I expected, there are distinct social possibilities in your profile. The 2 weak points of our age are its want of principle and its want of profile. The chin a little higher, dear. Style largely depends on how the chin is worn. They're worn very high at present. Algernon.
Yes, Aunt Augusta.
There are distinct social possibilities in Miss Cardew's profile.
Cecily's the sweetest, dearest, prettiest girl in the whole world. And I can't talk about social possibilities.
Don't speak slightingly about society, Algernon. Only people who can't get into it do that. My dear, of course you know that Algernon has nothing but his debts to depend on. However, I am not in favour of mercenary marriages. I myself had nothing when I married Lord Bracknell, but I never dreamed of allowing that to stand in my way. Well, I suppose I must offer my consent.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
You may kiss me, Cecily.
Thank you, Lady Bracknell.
You may call me Aunt Augusta in the future.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
The marriage, I think, had better take place quite quickly.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
Thank you, Aunt Augusta.
To speak frankly, I am not in favour of long engagements. I believe they give people the opportunity of finding out each other's character before marriage. That, I think, is never advisable.
I beg your pardon for interrupting you, Lady Bracknell. But this engagement is quite out of the question. I, Miss Cardew's guardian, and she cannot marry without my consent until she comes of age. That consent, I absolutely decline to give.
Upon what grounds, may I ask? Algernon is an extremely, I might almost say, an ostentatiously eligible young man. He has nothing, but he looks everything.
Oh, it pains me very greatly to be forced to speak truthfully to you, Lady Bracknell, about your nephew, but the fact is that I do not at all approve of his moral character. I suspect him of being untruthful.
Untruthful? My nephew? Impossible. He is an Oxonian.
I fear there can be no possible doubt about the matter. This afternoon, during my temporary absence in London on an important question of romance, he obtained admission to my house by means of the false pretense of being my brother. Under an assumed name, he drank, I've just been informed by my butler, an entire pint bottle of my Perrier Jouet Brut 89, while I'm especially reserving for myself. Continuing his disgraceful deception, he succeeded in the course of the afternoon in alienating the affections of my only ward. He subsequently stayed to tea, and he devoured every single muffin. And what makes his conduct all the more heartless is that he was perfectly well aware from the start that I have no brother. I never had a brother, and I have not the smallest intention of having one in the future. I distinctly told him so myself yesterday afternoon.
Mr. Worthing, after careful consideration, I have decided to entirely overlook my nephew's conduct towards you.
That is very generous of you, Lady Bracknell. My own decision, however, is unalterable. I decline to give my consent.
Come here, dear. How old are you?
Well, I'm really only 18, but I always admit to 20 when I go to evening parties.
You are quite right in making some slight alteration. A woman should never be completely accurate about her age. It looks so calculating. 18, but admitting to 20 at evening parties. Well, you will very soon be of age and free from the restraints of tutelage. Therefore, I think the consent of your guardian is a matter of no importance after all.
Pray forgive me, Lady Bracknell, for interrupting you again. But I feel it is only fair to inform you that according to the terms of her grandfather's will, Miss Cardew does not come of age until she is 35.
That does not seem to be a very grave objection. 35 is a thoroughly attractive age. I know many women in London society of the highest birth who of their own free choice have remained 35 for years. Lady Dumbleton is a case in instance. To my own knowledge, she has been 35 ever since she reached the age of 40, which was many years ago. I see no reason why our own Cecily wouldn't be more attractive at the age you mentioned than she is now. There would be a large accumulation of property.
Algie, could you wait for me till I was 35?
Of course I could, Cecily. You know I could.
Yes, I felt it instinctively. But I couldn't wait all that time. I hate waiting even 5 minutes for anybody. This makes me rather cross. I'm not punctual myself, I know, but I do like punctuality in others. Waiting, even to be married, is quite out of the question.
Then what is to be done, Cecily?
I don't know, Mr. Moncrieff.
Mr. Worthing, as Miss Cardew states positively that she cannot wait until she is 35, a remark which I feel I must state seems to show a somewhat impatient nature. I must beg of you to reconsider your decision.
Lady Bracknell, the matter is in your hands. As soon as you consent to my marriage of Gwendolen, I shall allow your nephew to form an alliance with my lord.
You must know that what you propose is entirely out of the question.
Then, a passionate celibacy is all any of us can ever hope to look forward to.
That is not the destiny I propose for Gwendolen. Algernon, of course, can choose for himself. We have already missed 5, if not 6 trains. To miss any more would force us to comment on the platform.
Everything is quite ready for the christenings.
Christenings, sir. Is not that somewhat premature?
Both these gentlemen have expressed a desire for immediate baptism.
At their age, the idea is grotesque and irreligious. Algernon, I absolutely forbid you to be baptized. I do not approve of such excesses. Lord Bracknell would be most displeased if he knew that that was the manner in which you are wasting your time and your money.
Am I to understand, then, that there to be no christenings at all this afternoon?
I don't think that, as things currently stand, there's any practical need of it for either of us, Dr. Chasuble.
I'm grieved to hear such sentiments from you, Mr. Worthing. They savor of the heretical views of the Anabaptists, views that are completely refuted in 4 of my unpublished sermons. However, since your present mood seems to be one peculiarly secular, I will return to the church at once. Indeed, I've just been informed by P. Opener for the last hour and a half Miss Prism has been waiting for me in the vestry.
Prism? Did I hear you mention a Miss Prism?
Yes, Lady Bracknell, I'm on my way to join her.
Pray allow me to detain you for a moment. This matter may prove one of grave importance to Lord Bracknell and myself. Is this Miss Prism a woman of repellent aspect, remotely connected with education?
She is the most cultivated of ladies, and the very picture of respectability.
They are obviously the same person. May I ask what position she holds in your household?
I am a celibate, madam.
Miss Prism, Lady Bracknell, has for the last 3 years been Miss Cardew's Cardew's esteemed governess and valued companion.
In spite of what I hear of her, I must see her. Let her be sent for.
She approaches. She is now.
I'm sorry you expected me in the vestry, dear Canon. I've been waiting there for you for an hour and 3/4.
Prism! Come here, Prism. Prism, where is that baby? 28 years ago, you left the home of Lord Bracknell, number 104 Upper Grosvenor Street, in charge of a perambulator that contained a baby of the male sex. You never returned. A few weeks later, as a result of the extensive searches of the Metropolitan Police, the perambulator was found standing alone at midnight in a dark corner of Bayswater. It contained a manuscript of a 3-volume novel of a more than usually revolting sentimentality. But the baby was not there. Prism, where is that baby?
Lady Bracknell, I admit with shame that I do not know. I only wish I did. The plain facts of the case are these. On the morning of the day you mention, a day that is forever branded on my memory, I prepared as usual to take the baby out in its perambulator. I had also with me somewhat old but capacious handbag in which I had intended to place the manuscript of a work of fiction I've been during my few unoccupied hours. In a moment of mental abstraction, for which I never can forgive myself, I deposited the manuscript in the bassinet and placed the baby in the handbag.
Where did you deposit the handbag?
Do not ask me, Mr. Worthing.
Miss Prism, this matter is of no small importance to me. I insist upon knowing where you deposited the handbag that contained that infant.
I left it in the cloakroom of one of the larger railway stations in London.
What railway station?
Victoria, the Brighton line.
I must retire to my room for a moment. No, Gwendolen! You'll wait for me here.
If you are not too long, I will wait here for you all my life.
What do you think this means, Lady Bracknell?
I dare not even suspect Mr. Chasuble. I need hardly tell you that in families of high position, strange coincidences are not supposed to happen. They are hardly the thing.
Uncle Jack seems strangely agitated.
Your guardian is a very emotional nature.
What an awful noise. It sounds as though he's having an argument. I dislike arguments of any kind. They are always vulgar and often convincing.
Oh, it has stopped now.
You wish you could arrive at some conclusion.
The suspense is terrible. I hope it will last.
Is this the handbag, Miss Prism? Examine it carefully before you speak. The happiness of more than one life depends upon your answer.
It appears to be mine. Yes, here's the injury it received during the upsetting of a Gower Street omnibus in younger and happier days. And here's the stain on the lining caused by the explosion of a temperance beverage. That incident occurred at Leamington. And here on the lock are my initials. I had forgotten that in an extravagant mood I had had them placed there. The bag is undoubtedly mine. I'm delighted to have it so unexpectedly restored to me. It's been a great inconvenience being without it all these years.
Miss Prism, more is restored to you than that handbag. For I was the baby you placed within it!
You?
Yes! suffers. Cannot repentance wipe out an act of folly? Why should the laws be one way for men and another way for women? Mother, I forgive you.
Oh, Mr. Welling, there's been some error. There is the lady who can tell you who you really are.
Mrs. Bracknell, I hate to seem inquisitive, but would you kindly tell me who I am?
The news I have for you will not be altogether pleasing to you. You are the son of my poor sister, Mrs. Moncrieff, and are therefore Algernon's elder brother.
His elder brother? Then I have a brother after all! I knew I had a brother! I always said I had a brother! Look, Cecily, how could you have ever doubted that I had a brother? Dr. Chasuble! My unfortunate brother. Miss Prism! My unfortunate brother. My unfortunate brother. You young scoundrel, Algy! You'll have to show me more respect from now on. You've never behaved a brother to me in all your life.
Well, not till today, old boy, I admit. I did my best. There was a great out of practice.
My own one! But what own are you? What is your Christian name now that you have become someone else?
Oh my goodness! I've quite forgotten the point. Your decision on the subject of my name is irrevocable, I suppose.
I never change, except in my affections. What a noble nature you have, Gwendolen.
Then the question must be answered at once. Aunt Augusta, a moment if you would. Up to the time that Miss Prism had deposited me in the handbag, had I already been christened?
Every luxury that money could buy, including christening, had been lavished on you by your fond and doting parents.
Then I had been christened. That's settled. Now, what was my given name? Let me know the rest of it.
As you were the eldest child, you were naturally christened after your father.
Well, what was his Christian name?
I cannot at the present moment recall the general's Christian name. I have no doubt that he had one. He was eccentric, I admit, but only in later years, and that was brought on by the Indian climate and marriage and indigestion and other things of that nature.
Can't you recall what our father's Christian name was?
My dear boy, we were never even on speaking terms. He died before I was a year old.
His name would appear in the army lists of the period, I suppose?
The general was essentially a man of peace, except for in his domestic life. But yes, I suppose his name would appear in any military directory.
The army lists of 40 years are gathered here. This delightful book should have been my constant study. All right. Any generals? Madam, Max Bong, Magley, oh, ghastly names there. Marby, Mixby, Moncrieff! Lieutenant, 1814, Captain, Lieutenant Colonel, General, 1869, Christian names, Earnest, John. Told you, Gwendolen, that my name is Ernest, haven't I? And it is Ernest after all. I mean it naturally as Ernest.
Yes. Now I recall that the general was named Earnest. I knew there was a reason I had a particular dislike for the name.
My own Ernest! I felt from the first that you could have no other name.
Gwendolen, it is a terrible thing for a man to learn suddenly that all his life he's been telling nothing but the truth. Can you never forgive me?
I can, for I feel you are sure to change.
Oh, my own one!
Letitia!
Frederick at last!
Cecily, at last! Gwendolen, at last!
My nephew, you seem to be displaying some signs of triviality.
On the contrary, Aunt Augusta, I've realized, for the first time in my life, the vital importance of being earnest.